Hi everyone, I am Anonymous Traveler from Intellectual Exercise. Today, I will discuss the concept of spiritual individuation, Hora Vacui, Opus Contra Naturam, and archetypes for spiritual practitioners. This concept of individuation became famous by Carl Gustav Jung. According to Jung, the individuation is an autonomous process of accomplishing of the individual wholeness experienced as a psychological completeness. However, the very concept has always been there for spiritual seekers, although its nature is more complex than Jung's version. So, I will call Jung's individuation as traditional individuation and use the term spiritual individuation for the one from the spiritual seekers. Although Jung himself was a clearly spiritual person and had great insight into alchemy, he was a psychologist, so he had to focus on general population. So, I will use the term spiritual individuation with different focus since I am only discussing the few people whose main interest in life is different than general population. When it comes to individuation, generally speaking, modern psychologists' main interest is how well a person can perform and assimilate into the society. However, what I focused on is the aspect of spiritual development and spiritual alchemy. Spiritual individuation can be described as a process of maximizing one's inner divine spark and penetrate beyond the communal reality and becoming a someone who has crossed the abyss and returned back with the actively assembled selfhood. We live in a communal reality. The world we live in consists of the collective layers of shared reality by billions of other people. And I call this collective reality as communal reality. It has its gravity and follows certain mechanism. And one of the key mechanisms is Hora Vacui. It is a Latin word meaning the fear of emptiness. Aristotle also understood this mechanism and explained it as the nature abhors an empty space. This communal reality of ours is like a living entity. It is like living and breathing jail that confines us. It rules us with its iron fist and do not want any of us to see beyond this communal reality. Whenever someone wakes up to the reality beyond this communal reality, it's like someone is making a small hole in the layers of reality. In other words, the very action of someone seeing beyond the veil of this communal reality is like creating a small empty space. And this nature, which I call communal reality, hates empty space. Since this communal reality hates empty space, it starts to pressure the person who created this small hole in order to put him back to the original state of daydreaming, walking zombie like all the other people. One of the common expression is, when I am old and wise. But this statement has many problems. It suggests that as time goes by, we gain experience and become wiser. However, that process is not automatic. It only happens to people who are basically open-minded to a reasonable degree. Many people become old and stupid, full of false bias and ignorant ideas. If we simply live our life, eating, drinking, and be merry like most people, we just deteriorate in terms of wisdom, since our greed, ignorance, and delusion will grow as time goes by and take over our good qualities. This world is ruled by the law of deterioration, and becoming deteriorated is a natural state of affair. So even gaining a worldly wisdom takes some effort. However, gaining the type of wisdom that penetrates beyond this communal reality takes a Herculean effort. When one is trying to see beyond the veil of this communal reality, or try to cultivate his inner divine spark all the way in the context of spiritual alchemy, it really takes a tremendous effort to do so. So, gaining such wisdom is a process which goes against the nature, since this so-called nature is a communal reality where it doesn't have the best interest of each individual. Its interest is self-serving, that is, to use us humans as a collective source of human energy where it feeds a phone. Its goal is to make us to be a dull slave who daydreaming and wasting all his life in pursuit of all the superficial things in life. It doesn't like us to ask serious questions, such as the question on the validity of this so-called reality. It puts all the interruptions and the barriers on our path to make sure we fail if we ever try to break into the veil of the reality itself. That's why some of the old alchemical texts describe the great work of alchemy as Opus Contra Naturam, which is, in modern world, a work against nature. But I would like to call it a work against communal reality. And Carl Gustav Jung promoted the idea of archetypes, which is universal or transpersonal element which we inherited as human. However, some archetypes are mostly shared by the people who are on the spiritual path. Those who walked the path before us struggled tremendously. All of them had to deal with Herculean task, and each of their struggle left various scars or imprint on the structure of reality. This unique kind of scars or imprint by each seeker shares a common characteristics. This unique scar or imprint has their own unique vibration. This is what I call spiritual archetypes. For example, certain dreams depicting alchemical workings, and they belong to spiritual archetypes. The concept of a traditional individuation is already a difficult task. However, when it comes to spiritual individuation, it becomes much more challenging and even dangerous. Because spiritual individuation is basically Opus Contra Naturam, the work against communal reality. And in a way, these few people's struggle and victory left small scars or holes on the layer of this reality. Making a hole in the layer of reality is a threat to the communal reality because not only it allows a person who made the hole a chance to escape from this sleeping slavery, but also it allows others to use this hole. And this communal reality has many tools to stop us. Its main tool is gravity. There are many different types of gravity. One of the strongest gravity is the one that keeps our false selfhood or passively assembled selfhood intact. Then, what is the practical solution to deal with this tyrannical aspect of a communal reality? One of our most effective tools to fight back the communal reality is the distillation of the mind. The distillation of the mind is a process of which working toward to reach the state of the mind that is hardly affected by the useless and frivolous things in this world. Some people misunderstand this distillation of the mind as some kind of religious purification. However, it has nothing to do with religion. If anything, it is more in line of physics. When your mind is less affected by gravity and cannot easily be pulled down, you get less affected by the various gravities of the communal reality. One of the best methods to achieve this goal is to approach the affairs of this world as an observer and not an actor. Whenever we are dealing with various affairs of this world, we are immediately jumping onto the situation as an actor. This is the nature of our inner monkey mind, since it always tries to grab a hold of whatever object it encounters. To learn the skills of becoming an observer instead of an actor takes time and effort. I recommend two things for this. First technique is meditation. For this type of skill, observation-based meditation works the best. In this meditation, you do not exercise your will. You just simply observe the things without interrupting its natural flow. Every ideas, emotions, memories, etc. has its own life cycle. It arises, remains for a while, and then disappears. Don't try to stop them or interact with them. Just let them be and observe. And the second technique is what I already talked about in my previous video. It is putting yourself in a situation where you have to listen to someone who has complete opposite opinions than yours. For example, if you are a Democrat, attend the Republican Party gathering and vice versa, and initiate a conversation with the people over there. Instead of projecting your political ideas into the situation and becoming an actor in the theater of a political argument, you just keep nodding your head and encourage the other to keep talking. Just simply observe the person talking without personally getting involved with any of his ideas. This kind of exercise is very simple yet effective. Thanks for listening and all the best.